Aaron, let's start the show. How you doing?
Awesome.
Fantastic. Tell us, who is Rumbi? Can I call you Rumbi?
Yeah.
Oh, it's easier, right?
Yeah.
Where were you born? Which schools did you go to?
Okay, I was born on the 25th of July, 1996. And yeah.
Okay.
And I went to North Park Primary School, then transferred to Highlands Primary School. Then I went to Arundel High School for my whole entire high school years.
Oh, okay. Like the newsreader here. She went to Arundel as well.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about how they hate your uniforms.
Yeah, well, we're always being like, people would always make fun of our uniforms because like white and turquoise, and people would be like dirty board. So so we're like, no, people, no. But yeah, that's why people are always hating on us.
Okay, so let's talk about the boards that you sit on. And what boards are those? Because it's quite fascinating. Young, beautiful woman. The beautiful part is real though, but young is a bit questionable. To be sitting on boards, what boards do you sit on?
Okay, so I sit on the Pan-African Youth Advisory Board. That's an initiative by the African Leaders Institute. So basically what we do, we're made up of 13 young people from across Africa, and we're creating projects that put young people in the center of development in Africa.
All right. And
so yeah, that's ongoing. It started last year. And then I'm also part of the Precious Stones Foundation board.
Okay. Has it got to do with anything like with mining or anything?
No.
Very precious stones.
Yeah.
Right? For
Platinums,
and lithiums, uraniums.
Actually, like our main, because it's a women empowerment organization, but Precious Stones comes from the fact that we're trying to teach women that you are precious. You're like a gem. So you know how like we go through a lot of things, and culture and society may just make us have dirt all over, like a gem. You know, it's from the ground, you take it out, but it's still raw, it's uncut, it's dirty. So basically our empowerment comes from how we want to clean that up and make you like a polished gem. So that's where the whole Precious Stones
And it was formed last year?
No, Precious Stones was formed 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a few years back.
Yeah.
Quite recent.
Okay.
So yeah.
How did you get involved in that?
Okay, so I do a lot of spoken word for the before it was an organization. They were doing conferences, like the founder of it would always host conferences for women, and so I used to do, or I still do, spoken word at those conferences. And then when she started the board, she was like, hey, can you please come through? This is when the organization was starting, and she was like, please be part of the strategic team. And I was like, oh, me?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, actually, I think it was the grace of God. But basically, I think just seeing my activeness and whatnot in the strategic team, she was like, can you please represent young women in the board? Yeah. Okay,
so you're also part of ONE? Is it? Yeah. What is that?
So ONE is a organization that looks at development. So ONE, as an international organization, the headquarters in America, but we have ONE Africa, which is like the regional part of the organization. So the headquarters in South Africa, but basically for Africa, we look at how we can develop issues to do with strong institutions, like leadership and governance issues, and things to do with poverty and education for women and girls.
Can I ask this question before you ask another question?
Sure.
Like, how impactful are these things, or are they just like dilly-darling kind of things? You know, like, are there any results really when we have these little organizations? Some are not little, some are like huge, majorly funded internationally. But what is the result? I want to know, what is the impact on these things?
I think when you get to see like people on the ground that we work with, that's where the impact is. And I know like there's actually a challenge with some CSOs. They like to, publish, oh, we went to this community and take pictures and like, we did a great job. But like, if you look at maybe when we start like a project we're doing in Ipworth with the Precious Stones Foundation, when we started and the women we're working with, we can clearly see the change, because like there's this lady who then gave, you know, we allow women to give testimonials, so to say, and you can see her like how she has changed from when we found her, and the way she's glowing by the time, like a couple of months after.
Wow.
So these things do help. I don't think anyone would create an organization just for
to get funding. Some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah, it's like the cyclone thing. Like, you know, if I was God and I was like, I need some funding, and I'm like, okay, there's Africa, let me just send a cyclone and maybe I'll get some funding.
Wow.
Right?
Ignore Ian, he has these tendencies sometimes.
Yeah.
But people do make organizations.
I mean,
just to get money
NGOs have been
sometimes.
formed already during Cyclone Ida.
Yeah.
No, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I'm really interested in your story because we had a women's event for AMH at the Nico's Hotel. We talk about balance for better and how most women aren't even members of boards, and you're so young, and for you to be even a board member, how does that even come about for someone so young? Like the pressure. Okay, obviously I want to know about the pressure of being a board member, but then like, what is the selection process to be a board member? Maybe someone would like to know that.
Okay, so there's this governance, I forgot the name, but there's this governance structure that was written about what an inclusive board would look like. And so that was what was adopted for the Precious Stones Foundation. And so I think when they were now looking for, okay, who can we include in the board, and then there's a section for women and a section for young women, especially if you're looking at an organization that wants to impact young women. You can't do that if they're not in the decision-making
That's
bodies.
very true.
So that's how I think that's the selection process. I'm not really sure how they did it, but for the Pan-African Youth Advisory Board, it's like in its name, it's for young people, and the mission is to put young people to be the center of development, because we are the demographic dividend in this continent, so we need to harness that. So what's more if you have young people who are leading young people in just taking issues in their own hands and to develop Africa. Yeah.
Okay, can I ask you one question that is quite serious to me? What is your big idea for women, you know? Because every woman who's come here is all for the women, isn't it? Like, yeah, future is female. Is that what we say?
Future is female.
Yeah, future is female.
So I do mostly theater than film. Yeah, I mean, the stage is amazing, but like so theater in the park, I had a couple of gigs with this guy called Innocent. He was the director for a couple of the shows that we did, and that started, I think, 2016 if I'm not mistaken, and that was when I was still in university, so like literally straight after lectures, or sometimes even banking lectures,
Of course.
I would go for rehearsals, and then weekends it was like shows, and yeah, it was crazy. And then mostly those were staged readings. So basically how they do it in Broadway is that when you're about to do a show, you have a staged reading where the actors are reading out the script.
Yeah.
And so it's then when people give them feedback and whatnot, and then they do the actual show. So it's very interesting, actually. Sometimes, depending on who is directing, like I did a stage reading where we were actually acting as well, but holding scripts. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, what's the 5-year plan for you? Because you seem very busy.
Yeah. For a 96-year-old born 22-year-old something. Is that like the math? You're like 21, 22?
22, yeah.
Wow.
Turning 23.
Okay.
Yeah.
When?
July, 25 July.
Yeah, I just want to know if you remember.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 'Cause some people don't remember their birthdays. But Fufu had a very important question, actually.
Yeah, 5-year plan, guys. Well, I'll be 28. That's the first thing.
She knows how to do math.
Congratulations.
She knows how to do math. Eh?
Hey.
But like, I see myself pursuing African development in a way I'm still figuring out. I do want to pursue my master's in international development and then work towards other development areas. So right now I'm doing mostly youth development and women development. So I want to still be working, probably I'm going to be doing a lot of youth development stuff. And starting an organization or not, it really depends on how things are, because I feel like there are enough organizations. You just need to partner now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would just be a brand for African development by 28. Like, so people, if you talk about African development, you have like me as a thought leader in that
Wow,
area.
that's amazing.
I heard there was a great city with houses of stone. The architecture was of exquisite rarity, design magnificent. I heard that there was a great city with houses of stone. The people were united, bones unbreakable. The codes were unshakable. You can tell by the foundations. The people were the stone. Guys.
Oh yeah, I know what's gonna sound right perfectly after use. You know what? I've got something, because I now know what your style is. I now know where your thoughts. It's like you know the love type.
No, I'm like the deep. Let's talk about issues.
Yes. Yeah.
Zimbabwe, great Zimbabwe, one great rock, one great civilization. I heard there was a great city with houses of stone. The architecture was of exquisite rarity, the design magnificent, the builders efficient. I heard there was a great city with houses of stone. The people were united, bonds unbreakable, cords unshakable. He can tell by the foundations that still stand today. The people were the stone. But if the people are a reflection of the infrastructure, then surely great Zimbabwe has become ruins. Our potholes are a reflection of the void in our souls, wider and deeper, because of the negligence of being the stone. These dilapidated buildings have become as dilapidated as our morals, where corruption is just a result of the molds growing on the walls of our character. Abandoned houses like our abandoned children, broken bridges like broken families, all because we've stopped being the stone. But shall we let our hope be as dark as our street lights? There is nothing wrong with having light and hope, likened to fate, lighted to birth life into our barren dreams. Dreams of what we were, better yet, what we should be. A great Zimbabwe, where people return to be the stones, where we neglect the culture of negligence and making building our lives a personal responsibility, building each other a communal obligation, so that we build better cities by building better people. Each path has its own destiny. It's time that we make new roads. The past was scarred with selfish, self-serving leadership. But let us dust off our past from these dust roads and choose to tarry on tarmac trails. We just have to be willing to sacrifice the security and familiarity for the uncertainty of adventure. We've never gone this way before, but at least we're going to get there. Great Zimbabwe shall not be called ruins, because it is being rebuilt, this time into a nation. Zimbabwe, one great rock, one great civilization, one great nation.
Sure.
Whoa. Yo, do the snappity snap. Y'all do the snappity snap up in here. Y'all do the snappity snap, snappity snap. Oh yeah. That's what's up. Zimbabwe will never be a ruin again. Zimbabwe will never be a ruin again. I feel like I've just done I Have a Dream. Amazing stuff. Thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure. I mean, like, this is incredible, actually. You know, Zimbabwe will never be ruined.